Hello there and good evening. Welcome to our session on grammar. है ना, अलग अलग एरियाज जितना हो सके हम बैठ बैठ के साथ में कर रहे हैं. And in that series, this is our session 4. And in this particular session, you and I will sit down together and work on all things related to modifiers. So the topic is right there. In case you're new, my name is Vikrant and I'm your personal coach for all things related to English, communication, strategic aspects. And I also give a lot of inputs on the mental aspects of the preparation. So if you have concerns or questions along any of these directions, any of these dimensions, I am the one that you can most definitely, most certainly send them to. And with that, just one final request. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. That will ensure that you get to know about all of these sessions, not through accident, but through plan. And I'll just start with a quick reminder that who is this session for? Well, if you answer a yes to any of these two questions, then this is a session for you. The topics that we are covering are foundational in nature, which will help you deal with all the error identification questions asked in these other non-CAT management entrance exams. And if your intention is to revise the grammar quickly, this is an absolutely right place. So Abhinav, Monadeep, Manan, Suranjana, Vedanti and Kruchi, fabulous. Yeah. Tomorrow is my NMAT exam at 3 p.m. Abhinav, all the best, man. Just make sure that you pace yourself well. It is a computer adaptive test. I hope that you've kind of become accustomed to it. Hello, Vanshika. What's up? Anupam says, sir, I'm getting 25 marks in mocks. अरे marks मिथ्या है. मार्क्स से कुछ नहीं होता है. जो भी मार्क्स आए मॉक में आए, बस सत्य क्या है? एनालिसिस. सत्य है ये देखना कि जो नहीं अटेम्प्ट हुआ, जो गलत हुआ, वो क्यों हुआ और उसको फिक्स करने के लिए क्या करना है. दैट इज गोइंग टू बी आवर फोकस. एंड इफ यू कैन रिमेन फोकस्ड ऑन दैट, देयर इज एब्सोल्युटली नोबडी हु कैन स्टॉप योर मार्क्स फ्रॉम मूविंग अप. सो कितना आया, आगे उसको बढ़ाने के लिए क्या करना है, दैट्स व्हाट यू थिंक ऑफ. ओके. Oh, Sarah also has her exam tomorrow at 12. So those of you who are writing the NMAT, hey guys, good luck. I know that you do well. Okay, so let's go ahead and start now. So this session is fundamentally about modifiers. And when I say modifiers, a lot of people actually come back to me and say, modifiers, what do you mean by that? So you remember that there is something called an adjective and there is something called an adverb. What are these? So what is an adjective? Okay, first thing, the D here is silent, so we call them adjectives. Adjectives are all those words that go on to add to the meaning of a noun or a pronoun. Now the grammar books will say that these are words that go on to modify a noun or a pronoun, where modifying basically means they add to the meaning. Okay, so for example, if I say that I saw a very cute dog, then dog is a noun. This cute adds to the meaning of dog. It tells you a little more about that noun. So you just go ahead and call that an adjective. And similarly, we have adverbs. Now, what do adverbs do? A lot of people mistakenly believe that adverbs are words that modify a verb. That is not at all correct. Adverbs are those words, those expressions that go on to add to the meaning of something other than a noun or a pronoun. So if you see a word that adds to the meaning of something other than a noun or a pronoun, then you go on to call that an adverb. Okay, so what else can you modify? So apart from a noun or a pronoun, you can go on to modify a verb. You can modify an adjective. You can modify another adverb. Hell, you can at times go on to modify an entire sentence. You can add to the meaning of an entire sentence. You can tell something about the entire sentence. So any word, any expression that does that, we will go ahead and call that an adverb. So any questions? And because both of these, okay, both of these go on to modify something else, taken together, they are called modifiers. So if I don't want to say adjectives and adverbs, I can instead say modifiers. Okay, so what are the popular issues here? Of course, I take you through the errors, but then in my opinion, a lot of those errors arise out of this simple fact that people at times fail to recognize adjectives and adverbs. Okay, and particularly because you know that you have something called a phrase or a clause. So there are times when an entire phrase acts as an adjective. So we call that an adjective phrase. There are times when an entire clause acts as an adjective. So we call this an adjective clause. Similarly, you also have adverbial phrases and clauses. So we forget that an entire phrase, an entire clause can also act as an adjective or an adverb. And thus we at times go ahead and end up facing a problem. We end up struggling. Okay. So that is that. Dhanraj says, can you please explain verb and noun as well? Dhanraj, I did take a session on nouns a while ago. देख लेना यार, ये 4-5 रोज पहले अपन ने nouns लिए थे, उसके बाद में verbs भी लिए थे, तो एक बार check कर लेना. So you will find thankfully that both of these areas have been reviewed. Of course, basics में जाके बात तो नहीं की, but if you ask me a specific question, I would love to help you with that. Okay, so what are modifiers? Words that go on to modify some other word. Modifiers come in two flavors, adjectives and adverbs. Adjectives describe a noun or a pronoun. Adverbs add to the meaning of something other than a noun or a pronoun. And in case you still do not know how can you modify a sentence, think of this word however. What does it do? It tells you something about the entire sentence, and that is the idea of this sentence is opposite of the idea mentioned in the previous sentence. Think of this word called moreover. Think of consequently. Think of therefore. These are actually called sentence adverbs. Okay, so that's modifiers for you basically. So let's dive into questions. As you know, in this series, we basically go through questions in order to ensure that we are able to at least take care of a large chunk of the commonly asked errors around these areas. So read the directions. Select the most appropriate option to substitute the underlined segment in the given sentence. If no substitution is required, select no improvement. So here is your question number 1 with the timer. Arey, no timer? I forgot the timer. Oh my God. Chaliye. So you are lucky that we don't have a timer today. So go ahead and give me an answer. मैं देखता हूं तब तक टाइमर ही ऐड कर लूं यार. टाइमर क्यों नहीं ऐड करा मैंने? मुझे ऐसा याद तो आ रहा है जैसे मैंने किया था, बट पता नहीं कहाँ गया. So what's your take, people? A versus D. The western disturbances blowing towards North India are colder as before. See, so they are either as cold as they were before, in which case you would say as cold as. Okay, but if we are using a comparative degree, it basically means that now they happen to have a temperature reading which is less than what it was earlier. So it is a comparative degree, and when you use a comparative degree, you are supposed to follow it up with then and not as, and that is why this underlined portion is incorrect. The correct version is D. Now we do not always use then. There is one exception to it. There are times when a comparative degree, a particular type of comparative degree, is followed by not then but something else. Do you know what that is? So think it over and I will take you to the next question. Here is your question number 2 and the timer. Avantika asks, why not B? Okay, Avantika, let's go ahead and discuss second question and then we will move back to answering the your answer to the previous one. Okay. So the correct answer here very clearly is A. Forget the conjunction, but then tell me, what is the meaning of few? Let me in fact create an example. So if I say that few students have submitted the assignment. So let us say I teach a class. In that class, I happen to have 50 students. And then I tell you that few students have submitted the assignment. Then according to this sentence, how many of those students have submitted the assignment? Your options are 0, 5 and 40. 0, 5 and 40. If I say few students have submitted the assignment, out of the 3, which one is correct? Aishwarya, I think I've made it very explicit now. Fabulous. Okay, HTG says 5. Dhanraj is creating his own option by saying %. Okay, so guys, you'll be really glad to know that the correct answer is 0 and not 5 or 40. So few basically means no. Few basically means 0. It does not mean 5. Anupama, absolutely yes. That's right. So now look at this. The scientific theories of space are too intricate that only few people comprehend it. Now that you've added only, that creates a problem here. If you want to say 5, then you won't say few, then you will have to say a few. So few means 0, a few means 5. A few means a small chunk of the entire number. So you realize in this sentence what you want to convey is that the number of people who understand these theories is minuscule. The number of people who understand such theories is very small. Getting it? And that is why you cannot use only few. It had to be only a few. And that a few is available only in option A. And then of course, yes, there is also a problem of conjunction here. But then let's pick it up tomorrow. कल बात करते हैं थोड़ी conjunctions की, थोड़ी subject verb agreements की, है ना? तो वो कल उठाते हैं. कल we'll go ahead and बात करेंगे इसकी. It's Alex YT says, sir, few means is कुछ लोग. ना, few means कोई लोग भी नहीं. 0. ये गलती है, बहुत लोग करते हैं ये गलती. तुमने एडवर्टीजमेंट्स देखी होंगी न्यूज़पेपर में. एड में लिखा होता है फ्यू सीट्स लेफ्ट. हरी बे, फ्यू सीट्स का मतलब होता है नो सीट. एड क्यों दे रहा है अगर सीट ही नहीं बची तो? सो ग्रामेटिकली करेक्ट वर्जन इज अ फ्यू सीट्स लेफ्ट या ओनली अ फ्यू सीट्स लेफ्ट. बहुत कॉमन गलती है ये. एग्जैक्टली यही प्रॉब्लम इसमें भी है. मेरे सिर के ऊपर ध्यान से देखने का. हाँ, लिटिल वर्सेस अ लिटिल. सो लिटिल is used with uncountable nouns, few is used with countable nouns. Okay, so little का मतलब भी वही है no, जबकि a little का मतलब थोड़ा सा. There is little water in the bottle मतलब there is no water in the bottle. There is a little water in the bottle मतलब थोड़ा सा पानी है. There is a bit. Okay, done. Now somebody asks मतलब क्यों क्यों क्यों. Okay, मैं क्यों का आंसर, चलो तुमने पूछा है तो दे देता हूं यार. हाँ, हैव यू हर्ड ऑफ समथिंग कॉल्ड यूफेमिज्म? Euphemism होता है to use a polite expression in place of a harsh expression. Think of it. I can say he died yesterday. I can say he passed away yesterday. I can say he was caught watching pornography. I can say he was caught watching adult entertainment. So you notice there are times when we want to be polite. There are times when we want to use a word which is less offensive. याद करें मोदी जी ने एक वर्ड बोला था दिव्यांग, बोले विकलांग नहीं बोलो दिव्यांग बोलो. हाँ था ना एक वो टाइम जब लोग बोलते थे हैंडीकैप्ड, फिर वो हैंडीकैप्ड से हुआ फिजिकली चैलेंज्ड, फिर वो वहाँ से हुआ मतलब हैंडीकैप्ड से हुआ डिसेबल्ड, वहाँ से हुआ फिजिकली चैलेंज्ड, वहाँ से हुआ स्पेशली एनेबल्ड और स्पेशली एबल्ड. नोटिस. So we at times use euphemisms. So yeah, there are situations when saying no will sound bad. भाई मेरे जेब में पैसे ही नहीं है यार, अब ये बोलना कि आई हैव नो मनी इन माई पॉकेट अच्छा नहीं लगेगा ना. सो आई से देयर इज लिटिल मनी इन माई पॉकेट. तो सोचो एक पेशेंट को डॉक्टर के पास लेकर गए, डॉक्टर को समझ में आ गया ना, द डॉक्टर गॉट टू नो दैट दिस पेशेंट इज नॉट गोना सर्वाइव. सो टू कम बैक टू द फैमिली मेंबर्स एंड से दैट देयर इज नो चांस ऑफ हिज रिकवरी, दैट्स हार्श. सो दे कम बैक एंड से यार देयर इज लिटिल चांस. हिंदी बोल रहे होते हैं तो आकर के बोलते हैं ना, अब इसे दवा की नहीं दुआ की जरूरत है. ऐसे तो ये लिटिल फ्यू ये यूफेमिज्म की तरह यूज होते हैं. ओके, सो आई होप यू गेट द ड्रिफ्ट. सो नाउ दैट यू नो द लॉजिक, आई एम श्योर यू वोंट फॉरगेट इट. एंड हियर आर द डायरेक्शंस फॉर द नेक्स्ट सेट. So I've given you a sentence. You need to identify the segment which contains the grammatical error. Here is your question number 3 and the clock is ticking now. अच्छा, अरे वो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन में किसी ने सेकंड पूछा था, मैं वो बताना भूल गया. मैं बता देता हूँ इसके बाद, थर्ड के बाद याद करवा देना यार. हाँ नहीं तो कहीं ऐसा ना हो मैं फिर भूल जाऊँ. सो हेयर pride leads to destruction of the growth of an individual and creates a vacuum devoiding of. No, 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 no. Here it should be devoid of, which means entirely lacking of something, completely free from something. So यहाँ ये devoiding गलत है, it should be devoid. So this is the part which is wrong and that is why the answer should be B. Everything else is fine and that's why B. Okay, so question number 1 में आपने जो मुझसे पूछा था किसी ने कि फर्स्ट क्यों नहीं सेकंड क्यों नहीं हो सकता, मैं जल्दी से देख लेता हूँ. ओके, सेकंड उसमें था मोर कोल्डर. ये जो मोर कोल्डर है मैं जल्दी से एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ इसको. यू रिमेंबर दैट वी हैव समथिंग कॉल्ड पॉजिटिव डिग्री, कंपैरेटिव डिग्री एंड सुपरलेटिव डिग्री. सो व्हेन वी कंपेयर टू थिंग्स वी यूज कंपैरेटिव डिग्री, व्हेन वी कंपेयर मोर देन टू थिंग्स फॉर दैट सेम क्वालिटी वी यूज द सुपरलेटिव डिग्री. एंड देयर आर टू डिफरेंट वेज ऑफ कंपेयरिंग, in fact actually 3 different ways of coming up with comparative and superlative degrees. What are those 3 ways? Method 1, you use separate words, for example good, better, best. Method 2, you add er and est, right? So hot, hotter, hottest. Method 3, you add more or most. So more beautiful, most beautiful. So if there is an adjective that takes er, for example cold, cold takes er, then you use colder. You cannot add more or most to it. If you add it, then this will become an error called डबल कंपैरेटिव, ER भी लगा दिया, मोर भी लगा दिया, ये आप नहीं कर सकते. हाँ, नॉट ओनली दैट, if an adjective takes ER, if an adjective has ER and EST forms available, you are not allowed to add more or most to it. Okay, so you can't do that either, right? Okay, question number 4 on your screen. Shoot. नहीं नहीं यार विशाल, पीवाई क्यूज नहीं है भाई, ये क्वेश्चंस बनाए हैं यार मैंने तुम लोगों के लिए. I've created these questions. We can use PYQs too someday. Let's see. कर लेंगे कभी. देखते हैं. All right. So now that the timer is over, let us check. So you notice in this particular sentence, lockdown is a noun. Now, if you want to modify a noun, what you need is an adjective. But unprecedented is not an adjective. Forget that. Unprecedented is not even a word. So it should be unprecedented, which basically means something that has never been seen before. So you need an adjective. Unprecedented is not an adjective. The correct adjective here is unprecedented, and that is why this particular segment is wrong, and that is why the answer has to be A. The unprecedented lockdown has left millions of people unprepared for the severe disruption. The rest of the sentence is absolutely all right. And here is question number 5 for you. Shoot. सप्तर्षि, aren't you happy that you're making these mistakes here? पेपर में नहीं होंगी फिर. यही तो गोल है अपना. जितनी गलतियां करनी है मेरे साथ प्रिपरेशन में कर लो, पेपर में नहीं करेंगे. All right. So in India, illiteracy among the disabled is very higher than the general population figure. So the problem here is that higher is a comparative degree. Now, whenever you need a qualifier, a modifier for a comparative degree, you never use very with it. So comparative degrees के पहले कभी भी very use नहीं करते. So very use नहीं करते तो क्या use करते हैं? If we don't use very, what do we use? We use much. So ये वाला part ढूंढो, very वाला part ये रहा. So that's our answer, which actually is something that all of you've gotten right. So absolutely spot on. And by the way, this is going to be an adverb here. It is modifying an adjective, so you'd call it an adverb. Aditya, yaar, unfortunately I could not appear for the CAT 24. वो थोड़ा एनालिसिस वगैरह के चक्कर में ज़्यादा इन्वॉल्व हो गए, तो इस बार स्किप किया मैंने. दे देंगे अगले साल. ओके, हियर इज द नेक्स्ट वन. अगले साल अगर एनालिसिस के लिए सपोर्ट रही तो दे देंगे. लायनल सेज हायर देन. हाँ मतलब बात तो ठीक है यार तेरी, वो एरर तो है, मगर अभी खाली उस पे फोकस करें ना, एडजेक्टिव्स एडवर्ब्स पे, तो इसको मैं फिक्स कर दूंगा. आप यू रियली शार्प. हाँ, यू लुकिंग एट पैरेललिज्म एज वेल. गुड टू सी दैट. मतलब मेरे पास अभी मेडल होता ना तो मैं भेज देता यार तेरे को अभी मेडल इस कमेंट के लिए. लवली. अब इतना अच्छा लग रहा है तुझे, मैं बता नहीं सकता. और इशू इट्स एब्सोल्युटली ओके यार. दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव. अभिनव बिल्कुल ठीक बोल रहा है. लाइनल अभी ने भी अभी यही बोला था. वो यार जल्दी में बना रहा होता हूँ ना, कई बार तो स्लिप अप्स हो जाते हैं. देख लूंगा मैं इसको, फिक्स कर देंगे उसको भी. ओके, सो क्वेश्चन नंबर 6. All right, so let's go ahead and check what the answer should be. The answer is okay. So this is the part which is wrong. What we need here, indigenously, is an adverb, but the verb that we have of the word that we need here is an or should be an adjective. So processor is a noun. If you qualify it, you need to use an adjective. The adjective is indigenous. Indigenous is locally produced or developed in India. Okay, so you need indigenous processor, and that's why our answer here must be C, which is something that all of you have gotten right. So absolutely spot on. Here is the seventh. All right, so let me अच्छा टाइमर रुक गया, सॉरी यार, पर टाइम तो पूरा हो गया होगा अब, है ना? मैं ऐसे नहीं, मतलब अच्छा लगता है ना ग्रामर पढ़ते हुए, तो कभी कभी ऐसा लगता है जैसे समय का ये पल थम सा गया है. Okay, so let me give you a hint. Those of you who have not been able to arrive at the answer, guys, have you heard of something called the order of adjectives? Have you heard of the order in which adjectives are supposed to come? So in case there is a noun and that noun happens to have multiple adjectives placed before it, which sequence should we follow? So let's see, let me share that with you. So first up, articles, then numbers, then adjectives of quality, and then adjectives of category. That is the order that we want to put these in. Fair enough? And within the adjectives of category, within the adjective of category, there can be multiple adjectives. So within adjectives of category, the series that we follow is size, shape, age, color, origin, and then material. Okay, so within category, this is the sequence that we follow. Right? Now the problem here is that we have two adjectives here, French, which talks about origin, and old, which talks about age. But then according to the order that we are supposed to follow, age comes before origin. So we need to swap their positions. It should be old French antiques. Okay, so this part is definitely wrong. Another way of looking at it could be that you can call old and antique as redundant, and then you may say that old needs to be removed. So use whichever rationale, the answer that you will land up at is B. So the easy answer is old remove कर दो. Antique के साथ old का क्या करोगे? Understood है old है. But then I took this opportunity to go ahead and talk about the order of adjectives. That's something that can help you in answering a few questions here and there when you solve grammar. एक एग्जाम्पल भी मिल जाता तो बताओ. अच्छा एग्जाम्पल चाहिए तुम्हें. क्या एग्जाम्पल दूं यार बता. चल देखते हैं. लेट्स सी. आओ एग्जाम्पल बनाए कोई. तो भाई तुमको पता है देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड हैंडबैग्स. विमेन यूज हैंडबैग्स, मेन कैन ऑल्सो यूज हैंडबैग्स. तो चलो बताओ. और ये रहा ई. Chalo. So if you, all the five are adjectives, right? So if you want to put all the five before this noun called handbags, which sequence would you follow? So what did I tell you? Articles, then numbers, right? So we very clearly have D and then B, then adjectives of quality. So when I look at it, leather very clearly is a category, you know, either something is made up of leather or not made up of leather. So it's not a quality. When something is a quality, a comparison is possible. Beautiful is very clearly a quality. Well, leather in some situations can be a quality, in some other situations it can be a category. In this situation, if I say women prefer large handbags as opposed to small handbags, it'll be a category, right? So in this kind of context, it will be a category. So because qualities come before categories, we'll then put C. Now that leaves you with two categories, large and leather. Large basically gives you size, leather gives you material. Size comes before material, so it will be A and then E. So the sequence should be the two beautiful large leather handbags. ठीक है? So you get the drift. Okay, so with that, here is the next question. Perfect, perfect. A lot of you actually got this right, huh? Good for you. मानस मानसी को टैग कर रहा है. So let's just remove this ed, right? His brother was lying down in his favorite chair. So recumbent means lying down, recumbented kuch nahi hota. So therefore A is our answer, which is something that all of you have managed to get right. So here is question number 9. So you notice principle is a noun. You don't need principle. You need an adjective wala principle, which is this main. chief. We needed this and not this. And that's why the answer should be B. Tricked you with perhaps one of the easiest confusable pairs in the game. इतना आसान के लोगों को लग रहा होगा ये क्या पूछा होगा, ये तो ठीक ही होगा. Okay. स्पेलिंग मतलब वही कंफ्यूजिबल्स. ओके, 10th. This one is a doozy, okay? This is a curveball. Think closely. Why am I saying think hard? क्यों बोल रहा हूँ मैं closely? क्या कर रहा हूँ मैं? भाई वो विमेन था ना अवंतिका, प्लूरल. कल करवा रहा हूँ सब्जेक्ट वर्ब अग्रीमेंट. कल सब्जेक्ट वर्ब अग्रीमेंट की बात करेंगे. So now let me bother you a bit. Okay. What is the difference between loudly and aloud? Take a shot, take a guess. Loudly versus aloud. So loudly, चलो बता देता हूँ, पेपर आने वाला, ज़्यादा तंग नहीं करूँगा. Loudly is an adverb that means spoken in a way that produces way too much noise. Right? So if they were talking loudly, it means that they were speaking at a volume level much higher than what you would expect. Okay? And then you have aloud. Aloud basically means audible. Something that is not said silently or something that is not whispered, not spoken at a low volume. Now, if you read this sentence, the context tells you that it is not that they were speaking at an excessive volume level. They were speaking at a volume level where it was comfortable for them to hear each other. And that is why the use of loudly is incorrect here. It should have been aloud. And therefore our answer here is option B. So another confusable done. Question number 11. Give it a shot. This should be although. यहाँ पे change नहीं होना चाहिए. Read it as although, okay? Okay, so what's our take? So, you know, the adverb always is an adverb of frequency. So we talked about the sequence of adjectives a little while ago. Let us also talk about sequence of adverbs. Okay, so there are times when you see some adverb modifying a verb. And these adverbs that modify verbs can be of different types, right? For example, you can have an adverb of frequency. So something like rarely, often, always, never, frequency. You can talk about time. You can talk about place. You can talk about manner. All these different sorts of adverbs. So the deal is adverbs of frequency usually come before the verb, and the other three, they come after the verb. And in case your verb happens to have more than one variety after the verb, time, place, manner, the sequence in which you put them normally is manner, then place, then time. There are a couple of exceptions here and there, but in review, let's just get the basics first. Basics pat on. Now, always is an adverb of frequency. It should come before the verb. He always takes time in finding a solution, and that is why our answer here should be option B. Done? Fair enough. And with that, let me take you over to your next question. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into this. Question number 12. So let me give you a hint. What is the difference between good and well? So give me the difference between good and well. Who's gonna share that with me? Come on, fast. Good versus well. I'll give you a hint. There is your hint. So if you look at my hint closely, you will realize when we say good job, you realize good is an adjective. Well done modifies a verb. So well is an adverb. There is this one very specific situation where well can also be used as an adjective, but there is no situation where good is used as an adverb. So here the word is supposed to modify a verb, which means that what you need is an adverb. So instead of good, you needed well, and that is why your answer is option C. चलो मेरी चैट बंद हो गई क्या? तुम्हारे मैसेज नहीं आ रहे यार, ये क्या चक्कर है? Where is the chat? हाँ अब आ रहे हैं. So I hope that now you know this. Okay, so here is question number 13. Yes, Shubham, absolutely. They take pains. It's an idiomatic expression. You can look it up. That was absolutely correct. अरे वो कुछ कुछ जगह पे पेन्स होता है भाई, कुछ कुछ ईडियम्स में होता है, वो बिल्कुल सही है. This is going to be very subtle. You know what? This sentence should be under a tree was standing a man alone waiting for the rain to stop. Now you may ask why. So आपको पता है ना ग्रामर में यार एक्सेप्शंस होते हैं. So when you have an adverbial expression that denotes a place, adverbial expressions denoting a place, they follow the inversion rule in which verb comes before the subject. For example, we say on the table was all the books we had studied. We don't say on the table all the books were that we had studied. No, on the table was all the books, on the table were all the books that we had studied. So similarly, under a tree was a man, or was standing a man alone waiting for the rain to stop. So बड़ा ऑब्स्कर सा रूल है. ये वाला ऐसा क्वेश्चन है जो अगर गलत हुआ भी तो चलेगा. So there are times when we do get some such things in the exam, but they're rare. So this is a question where if you skip it or you get it wrong, then something that I won't really mind much. But here is your next one. विशेष चरण दे थोड़ा ऑब्स्कर सा रूल है यार, वो बाद में वीडियो अवेलेबल रहेगा. यू कैन गो अहेड एंड वॉच इट अगेन इफ यू वांट टू. बट बहुत हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी है नहीं, तो एग्जाम के पर्सपेक्टिव से चाहो तो इग्नोर कर सकते हो. मैं कल ना एक्चुअली वो जैट के लिए ना थोड़ी पोम्स वोम्स पढ़ रहा था. तो जैट के लिए पोम्स वगैरह पढ़ते टाइम फिर उसके बाद क्वेश्चंस बनाए ना, तो इस तरह की कुछ सेंटेंसेस याद में आ जाते हैं, तो फिर ये बन जाते हैं. नहीं तो ऐसा कुछ खास लॉजिक है नहीं इसका. ओके, सो क्वेश्चन नंबर 14. हाँ, शी विल प्रोबेबली नॉट लेट यू कुक नॉन वेज. ये जो प्रोबेबली है गलत जगह पे है. So verb के पहले आना चाहिए ना, she will probably not let you cook non-veg. Probably comes before the verb, and in case there is a helping verb and a main verb, it comes in between. So it should be she will probably not let you cook non-veg food at her home. तो probably वाले part में error हो जाएगा. So the answer should be A. Soumya, there are times when they do get into these obscure things, frankly. That is why I am basically putting in some such questions here on and off. Snap, when it comes to grammar, it can actually be an unpredictable exam. There are times when they end up asking some very foundational questions. Remember questions related to identifying parts of speech, identifying types of sentence. Last year, they asked us to identify questions based on syntax. They gave us a poem and said which sentence is closest to the standard syntax used in English language, all those things. That is why I am putting in these sequence based questions today, because once you know the sequence of adjectives, sequence of adverbs, you are able to identify the standard syntax. तो ये आपको snap में help करेंगी ये सब चीजें. Okay, NMAT में नहीं आते इस तरह के सवाल. दो NMAT में थोड़ा better है. Okay, so here is the next question. Go ahead, give it a shot. देखिए, on the whole, if you are asking, is this session going to be on the whole useful for XAT, CMAT, Maharashtra CT, NMAT, SNAP? Yes, absolutely yes, it will be useful. There are a few questions here and there which probably are oriented more towards one of those exams. कि यार चलो उधर देखें तो देखेंगे. Okay. Should be kind enough and not enough kind. So ये वाला part किधर है? ये. So the answer is B. So see. Now listen to me carefully. There are some words that are natural adjectives and natural adverbs. What do I mean by that? Now come to think of it. Look at this word, intelligent. Intelligent is an adjective. If you need an adverb, then what do? The adverb is intelligently. right? So it has different forms as an adjective, as an adverb. But then compare it with a word called, say, fast. If you use fast as an adjective, fast, you use fast as an adverb, fast. He is a fast bowler. He bowls fast. In the first case, it's an adjective. In the second case, it is an adverb. Now, the words which are natural adjectives, natural adverbs, which means that they use the exact same form as an adjective or as an adverb. In these words, when they're used as adjectives, they come before the noun that they modify. But when they are used as adverbs, they come after the word that they modify. So the deal with enough is that enough is a natural adjective and a natural adverb. So if you use it as an adjective, you put it before the noun. So I'd say there is enough food for all of us here. But if I use it as an adverb, I'll put it after the word that it modifies. For example, hey, you are intelligent enough to realize that hard work is necessary. Notice? So similarly, here the word enough was supposed to modify kind, which is an adjective. So enough was being used as an adverb. When you use enough as an adverb, you're supposed to put it after the adjective. And that's why this part has an error. Akash, syntax is the way different words are arranged to form a sentence. The basic syntax of English grammar is subject plus verb plus object. So that's your basic syntax of a declarative or an assertive sentence. And in these sentences, objects are optional. Now, subject is a noun, object is a noun. Because these are nouns, they can also be pronouns. You may add adjectives to them. So you know the sequence of adjectives that is to be followed. You can add adverbs to verbs. So you know the sequence that is to be followed. So that understanding allows you to put things in the right order. So the answer for 15th is B. Here are the directions to the next two questions. Please read them once. Please read the directions once. Okay, so here is question number 16. So answers. So the answer to question number 16th will be option C. Do you know why? Look at this part. This right here is what we call an adjective phrase. Now the thing about adjectives, particularly adjective phrases, is that they modify the noun that is closest to them. Now which noun is closest? The noun that is closest is mustache. Now mustache cannot weigh 90 kilograms. This adjective phrase has to refer to the robber or the man, right? So it should be kept next to those. It is kept at a wrong place. Such errors are called misplaced modifiers. So when your modifier is kept at an inappropriate place within a sentence, we consider it wrong. Okay, here let me give you another example. So read this sentence and now tell me, what did I buy from Pizza Hut? The pizza or the bag? What's likely? क्या खरीदा था मैंने पिज्जा हट से? भाई पिज्जा खरीदा था कि बैग खरीदा था? तुम्हारे हिसाब से क्या होना चाहिए? पिज्जा के बैग, क्या खरीदा मैंने? पिज्जा खरीदा होगा ना पिज्जा हट से, लॉजिकली वो होना चाहिए ना. But look at this part, bought from Pizza Hut is kept next to the bag, so this sentence actually means that it was the bag that was bought from the Pizza Hut. In case you wanted to say that it was a pizza that was bought from Pizza Hut, then this entire part should not have been put here, it should have been put next to the pizza. So getting the drift, the same kind of thing, same kind of problem in 16th. Okay. So here is the next one for you. और वो मैंने जो मिसप्लेस्ड मॉडिफायर्स लिखा था वो इसलिए लिखा था कि अगर आपको बहुत अच्छे से समझ नहीं आया कि यार ये क्या चल रहा है, तो एटलीस्ट आपको पता है कि वो कौन से कैटेगरी का एरर है. अब आप जाकर के चेक कर सकते हैं, पढ़ सकते हैं उसे. Anindita, I think this question will answer your comment. While we discuss it, I think your comment can get answered. Now, the error that we have in this particular sentence is called a dangling modifier. Okay, the previous one was misplaced modifier. So what happens in misplaced modifier is that your adjective is put next to the wrong noun, although the right noun is also there in the sentence. So that's the error. Dangling modifier is an error where the correct noun is not even there in the sentence. So for instance, here, when you say walking down the staircase, God damn it, who was walking down the staircase? The noun next to it is the butter chicken. Can the butter chicken walk down the staircase? भाई सीढ़ियों से बटर चिकन उतर रहा था क्या? कौन उतर रहा था? पता ही नहीं. सो दिस एंटायर पार्ट, इसे जिसको मॉडिफाई करना है वो मॉडिफायर है ही नहीं. वो मॉडिफायर होना कहाँ चाहिए था? वो मॉडिफायर होना चाहिए था भाई कॉमा के ठीक बाद में या फिर इसी क्लॉज के अंदर. ओके, सो एरर देख लो. मतलब इस तरह के एरर्स ना नॉर्मली इस फॉर्मेट में आएंगे नहीं. दे गिव यू द सेम सेंटेंस रिटन इन 4 डिफरेंट वेज एंड देन आस्क इट, बट दिस डेफिनेटली रॉन्ग. सो आई थिंक इफ आई हैव टू पिक वन आंसर, आई से बी, बिकॉज व्हाई डू वी हैव बटर चिकन हियर? वी नीडेड टू हैव द पर्सन हु वाज वॉकिंग डाउन द स्टेयरकेस हियर. Where is that person? Missing, so therefore dangling. Okay, next. So answer the question on the basis of the direction provided before each of these questions. Here is 18th. Please choose the grammatically correct sentence. Similar ideas. अब वो misplaced modifier, dangling modifier अब play में आएंगे, ध्यान रखने का. So what's your answer for question 18? The correct answer, the sentence that puts all the adjectives up at their appropriate place, is D. So if you've chosen D, give yourself a pat on the back. That's indeed the right one. So fabulous. I think most of you've gotten this right. Good. Okay, then 19th. अभिनव says missing that end sound. यार मैंने उसको ऑफ कर दिया था, मेरे ख्याल से आज तो नहीं आ रहा होगा वो. Said remove the sound to accidentally ही ऐड हुआ था, एक्चुअली तो आना भी नहीं चाहिए था यार, वो इरिटेटिंग हो जाता है. Okay, so when it comes to question number 19, who heard the good news? Who heard the good news? This particular person, right? And that is why the answer must be, so you know, this part talks about a person who heard the good news. Now there are only two correct ways of fixing it or creating a sentence. So you either put that person immediately after the comma, or you put that person within this clause. So the only sentence where that person is within immediately after the comma is here. उसको कहीं भी बीच में clause में phrase में डाला ही नहीं हुआ, तो इसलिए वो ignore कर सकते हैं, and that is why A over everything else. So the person must be placed appropriately. ओके नहीं तो ये, और अगर आपको दिक्कत हो रही है ना कुछ नहीं करने का, सिर्फ मिसप्लेस्ड मॉडिफायर्स, डैंगलिंग मॉडिफायर्स, ये वाले टॉपिक पढ़ने हैं. छोटे छोटे टॉपिक्स हैं, गूगल करके भी पढ़ोगे चलेगा, खुद से पढ़ने के बाद समझ में नहीं आए, हिट मी अप, आई विल हेल्प यू. ओके, बट पढ़ लेना अगर इश्यूज हो रहे हैं तो. एंड हियर इज द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. टाइमर ये रहा ऊपर. आंसर्स गाइस, आंसर्स. स्मार्ट हो, मतलब पिछले वाले से सीख गए हो, है ना. एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. द करेक्ट आंसर इज ऑप्शन बी. सो दैट टेक्स केयर ऑफ एडजेक्टिव्स, एडवर्ब्स रिलेटेड एरर्स. कल अपन थोड़ा कंजंक्शंस, थोड़ा सब्जेक्ट वर्ब अग्रीमेंट्स भी देख लेंगे. सो डू ट्यून इन. द प्रॉब्लम विद डी इज दिस, इज बाइज. इज बाइज ये छोटी सी गलती है, बाकी सारा अदरवाइज डी सही है. And then when buying a car, confusion occurs by who is buying a car. Look at C. Who is buying a car? That noun is completely missing. Well, when and while is, देखो, if an error exists in all the four options and you think it's an error and it's there in every option, ignore it mentally. Okay? So that is why option B, and that is where we will stop today. So don't forget to like the video if you haven't done so yet. And if you're new, do subscribe and do tune in at 5 tomorrow for this very important topic जिससे शायद सबसे ज़्यादा सवाल आते हैं, वो है सब्जेक्ट वर्ब अग्रीमेंट. और उसको मास्टर करने के लिए नाउन्स प्रोनाउंस हमने पढ़ लिया, थोड़ा सा कंजंक्शन का तड़का चाहिए, सो वो करेंगे एंड देन वील डाइव इनटू सब्जेक्ट वर्ब अग्रीमेंट देन. ओके, सो आई सी यू टुमारो एट 5. Let's go ahead. Let's go and rock this. Okay, so take care. That's it for today. Until I see you tomorrow, keep working hard and मेहनत करते रहना, आलस मत करना. ठीक है. ओके.